So I'd just like to have a chat with you this morning. We're having a hard time. This economy, the world economy, is having a very hard time getting fully and completely through the craziness that was caused by COVID and also the response to COVID. And of course, you know what I mean by that. COVID threw us into this complete crazy supply chain problem, worldwide supply chain problem, which caused prices to go crazy because of shortages. You remember the toilet paper problem, right? Well, that was throughout the entire economy. And then, of course, what happens in any kind of boom bust, if you've watched this channel before, you know that I'm a boom bust expert. The bicycle industry, which is where I've spent most of my life, has seen boom bust situations so often that I just started to really analyze those and I understand them backwards, forwards, and inside out. Well, this one has been completely different. Because why? Because the government came in and provided tons of stimulus. Well, the bicycle industry never had that benefit when they were going through their booms and busts. Nobody ever came in and says, hey, here's a few $1 trillion that you guys can spend to build up your inventories or to get through this bad time or whatever it might be. No, people just went bust, or people, took advantage of the situation and did better. In this case, no, the government came in and they spent jillions of dollars, and a lot of that money went to people that didn't need it, didn't deserve it, didn't spend it well, and others who just didn't need it. And so they put it where? They put it into the stocks. They put it into real estate. They put it into office space. Believe it, you can see what that result is happening now. Anyway, but it caused this problem. It's caused the entire situation to last longer than it should have. Now, yeah, I'm not a big Biden fan. Yes, the stimulus that he did in the very beginning of his time in office is probably the one that really twisted the knife. But I'm not so sure that Trump would have done anything differently. There might have been, he might have felt the same as Biden did, that we needed one more round of stimulus. I don't know. It's got, history will tell us, and history will probably get it wrong too, because it's really easy to do these things in hindsight. But all of the additional stimulus since then, no, there's no way. This has not been good for the economy. It's been good for the short term, but it's not going to necessarily be good for the long term. It's been not good right now for the auto industry and for Tesla. And let's go ahead and take a look where we are right now. So Tesla is seeing the impact right now because we have these high interest rates, higher for longer, and also it's the seesaw in pricing. It's creating one more barrier to purchases. A year ago, I was doing this show because, I can remember just a year ago, I was constantly saying that one of the great benefits of owning a Tesla was that it had very good resale values. The value of your Tesla was not going to go down like other cars did. And this was a benefit, a big benefit to buying a Tesla. Well, consumers now see that the opposite. They see this as a negative, that the used Teslas are not holding their values, in some cases, not even as well as ICE cars. Well, okay, what happened? Well, we had this boom bust. And during that boom bust, Tesla, going into the boom, was already supply constrained. They were already having people wait a month or 2 months to get their vehicles. And all of a sudden, there was a shortage of all vehicles. And Tesla was even to some extent even more supply constrained. And so they kept raising their prices just like everybody else did. Everybody's raising their prices, but Tesla raised their prices even more because they were so supply constrained. Well, the other side of the boom bust, of course, is that all of a sudden there was plenty of vehicles, lots of ICE vehicles as well as Teslas, and the prices came down. And what happens to used car prices and all of that, that was even more of a boom and bust than new car prices. And the ones that boom the most are going to appear to bust the most. Do you understand that? So if the price went up 100% on a Tesla, on a used car, and then came back down 50%, that's going to look worse than a car that only went up 80% and came down 40%. So right now, that's another headwind in the way that people are thinking about buying their Tesla. They're not going to go through all that I just went through. They just see that right now, used Teslas are not a very good deal for the people that bought them a year or two ago. And so it is a headwind right now. So that's where we stand in terms of Tesla, in terms of that one element. Well, okay, so Tesla is facing other headwinds, high interest rates. Now, that's another perception problem. Over time, the current interest rates, let's say on automobiles at something under 8%, these are normal. These are normal for the last 40 years, 50 years, going back even further than that. That would be a normal interest rate, but that's not what we're used to. The Tesla that I own, it has a 2% interest rate. So we got used to those super low interest rates again. So this becomes a perception on those, let's say, who are aged 20 to 40, who are saying, wow, 7.8, blah, 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 blah. And it's causing another headwind. Then, of course, there's negative press. And then lots of inventory of every kind of vehicle right now. These are things that are definitely getting in the way of Tesla sales. There's good, solid, competitive brands in China. And then the depressed auto demand generally. We're seeing right now 15.5 million in the United States per year. That is about 2 million under a normal year. Let's face it, the economy is in good shape right now, and you would expect it to be closer to the 7.5 million, but that just is not the case. Now, could be lots of reasons for that. That could be an entirely different show where we could talk about the fact that cars last longer, or that people aren't driving as much, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of reasons why 15.5 might be the new normal. But the reality is it impacts Tesla. So Elon looks at all this and he says, okay, let's crank up the excitement. And so this is the right thing to do at this time. FSD for $99, free 30-day trials of FSD. The reps at the dealer level help at the dealer, I mean the showroom level, helping new owners understand how to use their FSD. Those reps getting feedback from these new owners during the ride along. This is all fantastic. As a product man, I would say these are all excellent decisions, excellent things to do. Of course, there's also more advertising happening right now. Hopefully that all starts to make a contribution. And the Model 3 Plus, I believe, will be a major contribution. Obviously, we've got the Cybertruck halo effect, as they call it, with everyone saying that Cybertrucks are still getting lots and lots of interest and excitement as they are out on the streets more and more. All of this should be adding to potential sales for Tesla in the months ahead. So let's switch. Let's talk more about the $99 monthly subscription. Some people are saying that it will kill the $12,000 lifetime price. I think it will definitely reduce the current uptake in the short term, because some people will say, let me just try it out. I get my 30 days, my 30 days free. Then, in some cases you're getting 3 months free. I don't know exactly. I don't quite understand when that is. You get 3 months free. And then I could still do it for $99 a month for a while and make sure that I like it before I plop down 12 grand. For some people, they'll want that 12,000 to be in their monthly payment rather than deciding 12 months from now or a year, 2 years from now, oh, I want to pay the 12,000 now. And now it's going to either have to come on a credit card or be paid out of cash. So if I was a salesman in this situation, as opposed to a customer service person in the car with the prospect, I would be saying, see, if you buy it now, you're guaranteed that you have it for life at this price. You have no idea what Tesla might do in the future with regard to raising that $99 back to $199 or higher. So you'd be way better off to spend the $12,000 now, get it into the price of your monthly payment, and you got it solved. So that's how I would pitch it. How would you pitch it? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, so those are some of the advantages. Now, right now, it'd take you like 10 years to pay at $99 a month. It'd take you like 10 years to pay the $12,000. That doesn't count lost opportunity cost, of course. So 10 years, some people are saying, hey, should probably reduce that to $6,000 and you would get the FSD lifetime. Probably more people buying it right now. Tesla so far hasn't even changed their website. It still is showing the $12,000 price as opposed to the $99 per month. So on the homepage. So we'll see. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. I'm sure Tesla's watching all of these things extremely closely and will be adjusting as time goes on. Now, I see all of this as being a very short-term issue. On October 8th, we'll find out the real true value of FSD, maybe even sooner. Every day, folks are posting information about FSD version 12.3.4. And eventually we're going to get reverse, then better parking, better understanding of hand signals. We will get, pretty much 100% in sometime in May. Elon says it'll be pretty much 100% ready to go. I think that's what he meant. We'll see. But as investors and other smart people are looking at this and watching these videos, at some point there's going to be that time when all of a sudden FSD is going to become about as boring as landing Falcon 9 boosters on a tiny ocean platform. Anyway, sometime this year, we will likely learn how robotaxi is going to work. That's going to be the other component. How is it going to work? How will owners be able to turn their cars into small businesses? And what will that profit plan look like for that opportunity? We'll find out. We'll find out whether they follow my advice, and they have a lot of tiered pricing based on the mileage, based on the subscription rate, going up and down based on mileage, or how does all of that work? What is the robotaxi revenue split between Tesla and, say, somebody like Uber and the driver, et cetera? Will Tesla have their own fleet? I think that's almost 100% clear that they will, but we don't know. All these things are going to be coming to fruition, and we'll get to learn more about it. Now, once that information is clear, then it will be super easy for people like me and Larry and both Brians and CERN and others. We will all be getting out our spreadsheets. So I can pretty much name every single person that comes on this channel. We'll get their spreadsheets out and start doing an analysis and see what it is going to be, what kind of deal can a individual owner make, how much money can they make per 1,000 miles or something. Anyway, one way or the other per month, if you put it out for 10 hours a day, how much money can you make off of this kind of a situation? Now, we also have to find out how fast is this going to roll out. As fast as possible, or will they start with Phoenix and try it in Phoenix for a month or two and then go from there? I mean, that's my old testing ground. When I had my manufacturing business, we had a new product. We put it in Phoenix. Why? Because Phoenix was a large enough city, 1 million or 2 people in the metropolitan area. We could throw something into that market. It was a long way from any other market. How far do you have to go? It's like 8 hours from Los Angeles and 6 hours or something from Las Vegas. I mean, there's just nothing around there. And so the word wouldn't spread that much if we made an error. So I don't know, will they put it in Phoenix? Will they try it in 2 or 3 cities at once? We'll be able to find out. Will they be using Uber or Lyft or somebody like that in coordinating these different programs and testing it with them in the early days? Will they do both simultaneously, Uber or not Uber? I mean, there's so many questions that we're going to find out. Anyway, we'll find out how much a profit Tesla will take. And then we'll do separate spreadsheets on what Tesla's potential income looks like once they announce what their percentage is going to be. I'm saying that it's going to be some number less than Apple's 30% because everybody claims that that's highway robbery. So Elon will probably go, yeah, let's do 20% or 25 or 26 or some number like that. Anyway, so we will be seeing what the impact all of that has on the value of your sitting Model 3 or Model Y. Way back years ago when this was, first starting out and people were talking about it, the big question was, what am I going to do? We like our Model Y. We don't want a different car. But if all of a sudden it's worth $100,000, will I want to just let somebody have my Model Y? And what will I buy to replace it? I don't know. It's going to be very confusing. Anyway, as has been noted by pretty much everyone who has an opinion, the next step will be a long, competitive journey where prices charged per mile might start out pretty much the same as Uber, but eventually will go down to around $1 or even less per mile. And then that'll change all of the dynamics again on the valuations. And this is going to be a very interesting time for sure. Clever people will find new ways to generate income also. AI might provide for much better group rides and prices. For instance, it cost me about $100 to go to LAX and back. I mean, one way. I'm in Riverside, so it's about $100 to Riverside on Uber. What if when I arrived at LAX, if I wanted an Uber right now, it was $100. But if I was willing to wait a half an hour, I could share that ride with two other people and it would be $35. Well, I don't know about you. I would take that deal in a minute. Now, I can see something like that actually being set up citywide, where from some point in Riverside, there would be bunches of these Model Ys that would be leaving every 5 minutes to go to Pasadena or to the beach or to downtown Los Angeles. And then there would be points in downtown Los Angeles, the beach, et cetera, where you could pick up the ride home and get a group ride as opposed to paying the full price. These are the kinds of things that we don't know if these will happen, but you could set that up to where I think it would be a pretty smart deal. Anyway, of course, all of this, any of this, and 100%, no matter what happens, it all bodes well for Tesla stock in the near term. What do I mean by the near term? This year. I think smart money will start moving into the stock after the earnings call. I think, as Larry always is, buying just before earnings. I'm sorry, he's shorting it. How does he work that? I think he buys the week before and then sells and shorts on Friday. I'm sorry, on Tuesday, before the earnings actually happens, and then resells it a week later after the price goes back up again. So how does that work? No, takes his winnings the day after earnings and then buys back in on anyway, something like that. But basically what we understand is there is typically a lot of people buying the stock into earnings, and then Elon speaks, the value goes down, price of the stock goes down, and then there's an opportunity afterwards to buy back in again. Anyway, none of this is investment advice. This morning, Chuck Cook finally weighs in on 12.3.4. He says there was a slight regression from 12.3.3 in his opinion, going through his normal route selection. But he says it's still excellent. I'm seeing lots of other people saying that the 12.3.4 is substantially better. So probably, maybe you've tested it. Love to hear in the comments below if you've tested it. Most lane decisions, according to Chuck Cook, on city streets where there was a lot of lane decisions where the FSD seemed to be confusion by like additional lanes coming in or lanes going off. The FSD would temporarily contemplate, am I supposed to be over there? Or am I supposed to be over here? And then it would finally center itself again. By the way, in our last drive on FSD 12.3.3, we saw that very same situation. So I'm not sure this was a 12.3.4 problem. This might have already been a case that was taking place. He says that it looks like a very, very solid foundation upon which to build. Love to hear your thoughts again on all of this. Now, what else is going on? Well, so far, Iran has not attacked Israel. They did take over, apparently, they took over an oil vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. Anyway, I don't want to, I'm just going off of my recollection. Anyway, they took over some kind of an Israeli-owned oil vessel flying under Portuguese flag. So that's not good, but they have not attacked yet. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, what's really going on outside of these international problems is the pundits had a chance to digest all that bank earnings and guidance information on Friday. And of course, the markets went down during the course of the day. And then the consumer confidence numbers did not come in good at all. They came in bad. And that just added fuel to the fire. And so we had this down market on Friday. The banks eventually, if you read into it, get all through it, the banks said they don't think they're going to do very well, and not bad, but they're not going to do very, very well in this interest rates higher for longer world. And that's the large banks speaking. The large banks say they're not going to do that well. Well, the small banks, they've been kicking the can down the road on this office commercial property debacle. And this means that they're going to have to kick the cans down a whole nother football field or two. And will they be able to continue to play dumb? Or how do you think about this? Basically, they know these offices are not worth what they are. They can hope that the office space comes back. They can hope that their owners of these buildings can figure out other use cases or find ways to get them more filled up. Some way to be able to raise their rates. And also hope that these interest rates come down so that the refinancing of these mortgages would be more in line with their current rents and their current percentage filled situations. Anyway, not good at all. All of that's not good. Consumers are not dumb. And they don't like that their car insurance, their gas prices, and their interest rates are going up and up and up. And that's got to be a big part of why that consumer confidence number was down. But they also don't like all these wars. And they just, this Ukraine thing is just not looking any better. It's looking worse and worse and worse. It's making America look bad. It's making, the Congress is in a complete quagmire over whether to continue the funding or not. It makes people uneasy. I don't care which side of the aisle you're sitting on. This is not good. And then you've got the Taiwan nonsense going on with China. You've got the Iran thing versus Israel. You've got Russia versus NATO, as our president said that we're going to consider letting Ukraine in NATO. This is not good. And these are potential additional drains on our national treasure and maybe some point U.S. boots on the ground involvement. And this is going to also contribute to consumer confidence being down. And it's potentially the shoe that could drop that would send this economy into a stall, because if the consumer stops spending, if they start putting their hands in their pockets, that's not going to help the economy. It's going to hurt the economy. So those consumers and those voters need some hope. And that hope is not coming from the current administration, which continues to show an inclination for war over peace, except in Israel. For some reason, they think the Israelis should somehow stop short of their decision to completely destroy Hamas. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, I've been suggesting for a week that the stock run-up might have run out of steam. It's actually been over a week I've been saying this. And we might need a breather of 5 to 10%. The Dow is already off of their all-time high by 5%. And then the S&P is down by, I think, 3%, and the NASDAQ down by 2%. Bank earnings and guidance on Friday didn't help in terms of that thinking. We have more banks and way more earnings coming up in the next 2 weeks. Now, these earnings reports that are coming up and the guidance that we're going to get with these earnings reports are likely to give the markets its direction for the next few weeks or not even months, because I think the inflation and interest rate issues are now baked in. If the CPI stays at 4.4%, or goes down to 3.5, or goes up to 4.1, it's only going to mean maybe no decreases and maybe one increase before the end of the year. I think all of that is baked into the price right now. So I don't think much of that is going to change before May's data and Fed meeting. So for the next 45 days or so, 60 days or so, we are probably going to be way more interested in these earnings reports and their impact, and things like what happens with the price of oil, what happens with Iran and Israel, etc. So what do you think? Will high gas and oil prices and continued inflation in services and higher than recent interest rates eventually gang up to slow down this economy? Or will the high inflation, the productivity gains, and less inflation in goods and groceries allow us to stay in the green? Let me know in your comments below, or what else you think is going to be impactful in the weeks ahead. Well, if I never said it before, I'll say it now. This is Randy Kirk. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. Hit the like button if this was useful. Please hit subscribe and notify if you want to. Larry was unable to join me this morning. He was stuck in traffic someplace, some football game, wherever he was in France, was apparently messing up his traffic. He has said that he will definitely be able to game me tomorrow, come with me tomorrow. And I've got a very interesting show planned for Larry and I to discuss kind of macro issues that I think nobody else is talking about. Larry and I have talked about these about 4 or 5 months ago. I think it's time to talk about them again. And that's what I think we'll be doing tomorrow at some point in the day, probably early. And then and then Patreon. That would be wonderful if you would be interested in joining Patreon. I had another sign up yesterday. Thank you so much. Quite a few signups so far this month, and I would love to have a few more. Just go down into that information, that description below. It's an easy click on the link, and you can go right over there and take care of business. Remember, you get a free book if you join at the $5 level. You get both free books and the free Cybertruck bottle opener if you join at the $10 level. That's at the point that you start paying, not at the point that you take a test drive. If you decide to go ahead and sign up, you get it immediately. If you decide to take the test drive, you have to wait 7 days until the thing becomes permanent. Okay, and then, by the way, you might want to buy some of those Cybertruck bottle openers. $25 as always. 45 for 2, 65 for 3, et cetera, et cetera. If you buy 10, they are all the way down to $20 a piece, and love to have a few orders for 10. That'd make my day. All right. That's all I got for you right now. It has been great talking